Hey guys, it's draft week. I'm going to do my final first round mock draft of the season. Let's jump right into it. The Panthers are up. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're going to take CJ Stroud. He's the best quarterback and possibly the best player in the entire draft. They desperately need a quarterback. It works. CJ Stroud has been plummeting in a lot of mock drafts lately. There's questions about a test score, his intangibles. Can you trust an Ohio State quarterback? And the Texans are up at 2, and they need a quarterback, but they also need pretty much everything. A lot of people are picking Will Anderson there. I've seen some rumbling about Will Levis being picked there. I think that it's still going to be C.J. Stroud. As much as I'd like to be, the contrarian and pick somebody crazy, but I just think it's C.J. Stroud. They need a quarterback. I still think he's the second best quarterback in the draft. That's where we're going to go, which leaves the Cardinals at number 3, who they've wanted all along. I think there's a good chance that they try to trade back, but Will Anderson is the pick there if they stay. The Colts are up at 4, and this is where things will start to change. I think they really like Will Levis. They'd love to have C.J. Stroud drop to them, but I'm going to take Will Levis here at the 4th overall pick with the Colts. They need a quarterback, and Anthony Richardson's going to take a year to figure his stuff out. Number 5, Jalen Carter's been mocked a lot, and I think I trust that. Jalen Carter's moving up some boards. He's, in a lot of people's opinions, the best defensive player, if not the best overall player. Yes, he's got the legal issues going on, but it seems like there's not going to be anything that warrants a suspension. You just got to understand, do you trust him? And so the Seahawks get a player of need that's possibly or probably the top player on their board. The Lions are up at 6. Defense is still the greatest need. They got their edge rusher last year in Aiden Hutchinson. I really like Christian Gonzalez here, or Devin Witherspoon. I personally like Devin Witherspoon more than Christian Gonzalez. So if it was a mock draft where I'm the GM, I'm taking Devin Witherspoon. But what I think happens is going to be Christian Gonzalez goes to the Lions and they get their top corner. The Raiders are up at 7. This is a fun opportunity. They could go Anthony Richardson and have him learn a year behind Jimmy G. Makes a ton of sense. It all depends on how high they have him ranked. But I like one of the offensive tackles. They need edge rush pretty badly. Tyree Wilson's there. I think I'm going to give them Tyree Wilson. We're going to go edge rush. I like going offensive line as well, but Tyree Wilson, in some people's opinion, is better than Will Anderson. So maybe that's how the Raiders have it on their board. Falcons are up at 8. This is another possibility for Anthony Richardson. Depends on how much they believe in Desmond Ridder. They could go offensive line and protect their guy. Broderick Jones or Paris Johnson are both stud left tackles. They could go edge rush with Myles Murphy. Seems like a little bit of a reach here. But I'm going to give them the first tackle off the board, Paris Johnson, and they're going to try to protect Desmond Ridder and see if they can build behind him for a year before they make another decision at quarterback. Bears are up. I think in a perfect world, they would have had Jalen Carter drop to them because that's who they probably wanted to take at number 1 if they were stuck there. But that didn't happen in this mock. So they can go a couple of different ways. They can go offensive tackle. They can go corner. They could still go wide receiver. I know that they've got a much better core this year than they did last year, but you can always continue to improve. I'm not sold on Claypool. But at 9, I don't think they go wide receiver. They might trade back again and gather more picks. But I'm going to go offensive tackle. They're going to get Broderick Jones and protect Justin Fields because that's their greatest need. Eagles are up at 10. To me, if Bijan Robinson doesn't go here, he's going to drop. I'm not exactly sure to where, but it'll be out of the top 15. Let's just look at this real quick. I think they could go edge rush. I like Myles Murphy. They don't need anything. The Eagles are a freaking stacked roster. They definitely don't need wide receiver. They definitely don't need quarterback. Corner is a possibility. Brian Branch, if Brian Branch is there at 30, he's gone. Like 100%, I think that's their pick. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so they need to replace that, but only in a smart way because that's how the Eagles build. I'm going to give them Devin Witherspoon because Darius Slay can't play forever, and why not continue to make the secondary your strength? Titans are up. This is another possibility for Bijan Robinson because Derrick Henry is going to age out at some point, but I think this is where Anthony Richardson stops falling. I don't think they believe in Malik Willis. Ryan Tannehill's not the long-term answer anymore. They get their guy. He rests for a year after for Ryan Tannehill to continue starting. Maybe Malik Willis gets his possibility or his opportunity to start this year, but I think that's where Richardson stops falling. Texans are back up. They got C.J. Stroud. I think you look Peter Skoronski or Miles Murphy. Those two make the most sense, or a wide receiver. I really would love to. You know what? We're going to do it. We're going to pair him with Jackson Smith-Njigba. They traded away Brandon Cooks. They've got to get more talent on that side of the ball. It's going to be really, really hard for them to go two offensive players with a defensive coach. But if that works out, I think that Texans fans are thrilled. I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments. But I really like that for them. The Packers, newly up to 13 after trading away Aaron Rodgers. They're going to go with Jordan Love. They need wide receivers. They probably would have liked for Smith-Njigba to fall one more spot to them. But Jordan Addison's here. I'm not a big Quentin Johnston fan. I love Zay Flowers. I think 34 is too low. I think there's some people that are going to have him up in this area, but he's not as good as Jordan Addison, I don't think. So we're going to give them Jordan Addison, and they're finally... Wouldn't it be just something poetic for Aaron Rodgers to be traded away and now they draft a first-round wide receiver? I think there would be something incredibly ironic about that. But the Patriots are up at 14. They could use a lot of things. They also need wide receiver. I know they brought in Juju Smith-Schuster, but there's not much there after that. They're not going to go with Robinson. Edge rush is always a good thing to grab for them. I'm always curious what they've got. Wide receiver, corner, linebacker, edge. So let's go ahead and give them one of the edge rushers. It depends. Nolan Smith is versatile and can play a little bit of the off-ball linebacker as well. Miles Murphy is more of a hand-in-the-dirt pass rusher. I feel like Belichick would like the Nolan Smith style a little bit more. So let's give them Nolan Smith. The Jets are now at 15. They dropped down 2, picked up Aaron Rodgers. Wide receiver is a decent strength of theirs, but they could definitely use another one after trading away Elijah Moore. But John Robinson's definitely not needed. They've got Breece Hall. Edge rush is always a need. Offensive line, they've got a decent one. Can Mekhi Becton come back and play? I like Peter Skoronski here because he can play guard or tackle. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We got to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. He's not as mobile as he used to be. You just spent all that on him. You've got to invest to keep him protected or get him a weapon. So I think the move here is to protect him. Washington's up, and I am a Washington fan in case you haven't watched any of the other videos. I really like Robinson, Wright, Banks, and Van Ness. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. Miles Murphy's possibility as well. And for those of you that are curious about the pass rusher, yes, we've got Chase Young and Montez Sweat, but they're both in a contract year. You're not going to be able to keep them both. And if you really like one of them, you got to go that way. Robinson, they've got Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. He'd be fun, but I think what they're going to end up doing is taking Darnell Wright. I think that he's the pick. I really think they want to trade back, but I'm going to go with Darnell Wright there. So we're up to 17. We've passed the halfway point. The Steelers are up. They could use wide receiver. They could use another probably interior defensive line and offensive line. Let's go offensive line. Let's see what we've got. I don't know that we can go offensive line right now. There's nothing worth that. So we might have to just go corner. And I like Deonte Banks a lot. You'll have to help me. Joey Porter Jr., he's a local kid. He plays in the state of Pennsylvania. He's the man-to-man shutdown corner. I'm not incredibly familiar with what the Steelers play. It looks like they've got corner on the list, edge rush. You know what? Maybe it's time that because they've got Highsmith and Watt. We're not going edge rush right now. I'm going Deonte Banks. I'm going with my initial gut. Let me know where I screwed up on that one. So the Lions are up, and we already took Christian Gonzalez. I think there's a chance they go back-to-back defense, and they take Miles Murphy here or Lucas Van Ness. But you get your other edge rusher that's going to be with Aiden Hutchinson for a long, long time. You had one of the top-scoring offenses in the league. You're set on defense, and now you can get one of those probably early second-round wide receivers, especially since Jameson Williams is going to miss 6 games thanks to gambling. Buccaneers are up. They need everything as well. Edge rush is definitely a big need. They need offensive line help. They need a quarterback, but that's not happening right here. I think this might be where Lucas Van Ness stops dropping. Curious what they've got them listed as their needs. Quarterback, edge. Yeah, we're going to get Lucas Van Ness right here and keep it moving. Seahawks are up. They already got Jalen Carter, so I think they'll probably go something on the offensive side. Wide receiver has been mocked to them a lot because, they've got DK and they've got Tyler Lockett, and, they've got the top two pretty well, yet wide receivers listed as a need. They need interior offensive linemen. There's Osiris Torrance, but I feel like this is too early for him. So to me, we're going to go edge rush or we're going to go wide receiver because I don't think Brian Branch is the need here. And they've got him. Yeah, they don't need a safety. Joey Porter Jr. makes some sense here as well. But we're going to go with wide receiver, and I'm going to give them Zay Flowers because I like him more than I like Quentin Johnston. They've got their wide receiver, so now they've got a three-headed monster on the outside, and Geno Smith should be able to continue to have a good career in Seattle. Chargers are up. If they trade Austin Eckler, or they want a reason to be able to trade Austin Eckler, Robinson makes a lot of sense here. And I've mocked that in a few other mocks that I've done, but honestly, I can't go any further. I'm giving them Robinson. Eckler can then be traded for second round or third round pick, and they can move on in their draft. He's the hardest one to mock because no one wants to take a running back in the first round. But he's a difference maker, and I don't think there's a world where he actually falls to 21, if I'm being honest. But I just don't know where to pick him. So he's going to the Chargers in this one, and the Ravens are on the clock, and they need cornerbacks. They're going to get Joey Porter Jr. The Vikings are up. They need defense, and they need it bad. They were one of, if not the worst in the league last year. I think you can go Kelly Ringo, Isaiah Foskey, or Brise, or I think it's Brise from Clemson. But let's go ahead and give them Ringo. Let's give them a corner, some secondary help. Cam Dantzler, I know he didn't do much for them, but he left in free agency. So they definitely need more depth there, if nothing else. The Jaguars are up. They could use a little bit of, I think, interior offensive line, tight end. Dalton Kincaid's here, but they've got, I don't like that. They've got Evan Ingram. I don't think you spend a first-round pick on a tight end in this situation. Corner and safety, this could be a Brian Branch spot, and it makes sense from a value perspective too. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to get Brian Branch to the Jaguars. Giants are up. They desperately need a wide receiver. We're giving them Quentin Johnston because he's still on the board. Cowboys are up. They made the trade for Brandon Cooks, so they are doing okay now in from a wide receiver's perspective. That's something that they would have desperately needed. It's still listed as one of their top ones. Defensive tackle, let's give them Brian Brise out of Clemson. Solidify the inside of that line. They've obviously got great pass rushers, but they could use some help on the interior. The Bills are up. I think this is like Bijan Robinson. Obviously, he dropped. I think there's no way he makes it past the Bills. I think that if he reaches somewhere in the, if he makes it past 16, there's a chance that the Bills come up to grab him, but he's not there anymore. This is where I could see a tight end going off the board. And so you've got Dalton Kincaid, which is your pure pass catching tight end. I believe he's older. I don't know if they've got his age on here, but I think he's like 24 or 25 years old. Michael Mayer is your do it all, like TJ Hawkinson, like I can block, he can do a little bit of everything. And then obviously Darnell Washington is down here. We're going to give them the pure pass catching tight end. Dalton Knox does a little bit of everything for him. So they'll have the two Daltons playing tight end together, and I think that'll be great. The Bills are up. They've addressed the offensive line. Be curious to see what they've got them listed as needing. Yeah, defensive help on the edge and corner, and then they've still got offensive line needs. Anton Harrison makes some sense. Cam Smith. What Will McDonald. I really like Will McDonald, and he is better than Isaiah Foskey in my mind. So we are going Will McDonald here. We're giving them an edge rusher. The Saints are up. The Saints also need defensive line help. We are probably going to give them Foskey then. They probably, they take whichever one fell to them. Eagles are back up. They can do whatever they want because they've got such a great setup. Their first round pick, or the first pick, we gave them a corner, so they're not going corner. Jahmyr Gibbs is here. If they wanted to reach a little bit, they didn't get Robinson. Gibbs is a pass-catching, super fast back. I really like him. You could go Michael Mayer, but they've got Dallas Goedert, and he's just a phenomenal tight end. He's done everything for them and been great. I'm going to give them, it seems like a little bit of a reach, but I'm going to give them Jahmyr Gibbs, some talent, one more weapon for Jalen Hurts to use. And then the Chiefs are up, and we're going to give them the best offensive tackle left on the board in Anton Harrison. So those are our picks. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to live stream on the first night of the draft. Hope you'll join me. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see y'all next time.